Right, so in my last video, I promised you guys if we hit a certain number of likes, I would cover the extremely rare Vince McMahon shoot interview he did on the Howard Stern show in 2001. And of course, we hit that like goal, so I'm here to talk about that interview and cover it for you now today. As like I said, this interview is actually quite hard to find on the interwebs. I couldn't find it anywhere on YouTube in full form other than a couple of clips. And it wasn't on any archives of the Howard Stern show either that I could come across, so it was a wild goose chase to find this, but nonetheless I did. And yeah, this interview with Howard Stern is a very interesting one because Vince McMahon, in a lot of his interviews, he is in that Vince McMahon character. And there was a certain point in his life where he stopped taking interviews or doing them in character instead. So yeah, I'm here to talk about some of the craziest parts of this interview. Like I said, this was probably the closest thing that Vince McMahon ever did to a shoot interview. And yeah, this interview, they get straight into it. They immediately start talking about Vince McMahon's personal life on this interview, talking about his father and the territory days, which then leads to a conversation about his mother and his past trauma. And it gets very personal pretty much immediately straight into the interview in typical Howard Stern fashion.
You know, my dad, see, they had like little territories, you know, back in the day. And my dad's territory was the Northeastern Territory. And he was very successful, actually. And my premise was that what my dad sort of started in a more entertainment genre, you know, would be successful all over the globe. So, and no one ever competed with anyone else. You know, you never crossed into the other guy's territory type thing.
So you had a brainstorm, and you knew how to market this thing. That's why they call you a marketing genius, because you knew how to what is it?
When his dad did it, it was on, like, UHF stations back then.
Yeah.
Right, you could hardly see the
Spanish
wrestling.
stations.
Yeah,
right.
all fuzzy.
Yeah.
I was looking through the notes. I guess it said that Vince has said that if his dad ever knew that he was going to take WWF National, he probably wouldn't have given it to him.
Well, yeah, that was because my dad had a lot of friends, these other, you know, territory owners that owned these fiefdoms. You know, my dad had a lot of friends and acquaintances.
So,
and
in
so
other
forth.
words, you crushed these people.
And I competed with them.
Right.
You know,
And you won.
you know,
I mean, so
yeah.
what? Big
You
deal.
crushed them. You put them
That's
out
what
of
you do in business.
right?
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
My dad was not too thrilled with that at first, though.
And your dad has since died, right?
Yes.
He's no longer alive. Your mother, I read in Playboy, I was shocked. Your mother, you're not in touch with because you said she That's got to be terrible.
I didn't say that.
Wait
It was
a
the
minute.
inference.
Hold it.
Yeah.
What did she do?
I don't know, but whatever it was not good. Because Vince, you get all choked up when you talk about it, right?
I'd rather not talk about that subject.
Damn, that's a good one.
Your mother's
I know.
around.
You ought to wrestle hard. Never mind your son.
Storyline.
Your mother is around and you don't talk to her.
Not a lot.
Boy, did she blow it, because, man, you're a billionaire.
Does she get any money from the WWF?
I just realized what I said. Did she blow it? That's the question.
That was wrong, Howard.
Vince, I apologize. How dare I?
How dare
I mean, that would be traumatic. That would make me
That would
crazy.
be traumatic, right.
You do
But
not?
wait a minute. She doesn't get any of the money.
No.
Oh, nice.
No.
Cut her off.
Just sit there and watch it.
Hey, just because she gave birth to you don't mean that she's entitled to that WWF money.
Oh,
Baby's
boy.
a billionaire.
Yeah. Nice move, Mom.
And straight from discussing his parents, he goes straight into discussing his wife, Linda McMahon, and their relationship, and pretty much just on the fly, on the air, admits that he's cheated on her, like, hundreds of times.
No time for that. No. But wait, so in other words, there's a lot of temptation. When you're a billionaire, you're a nice-looking
Who are
guy.
you doing?
Yeah. Who are you doing? Who did you
Me?
get? Yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
No one.
No,
Just
years ago, who'd you get?
Oh,
Give us the list.
if it had a skirt, you know, so.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, was it just the girls who hang around wrestling, or did you go outside?
No, it was, you know, fair game.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, no, I
famous
just, you know,
women?
Let me smell your fingers.
No, I don't. No, but I mean, it's just one of those things where you wake up one day and you recognize, you know, that, you know, it's not just all about, you know, your individual sexual gratification. It's about relationships.
And did
whatever.
your wife know this was going on all the
Gee, I
time?
hope I get to that point.
You know,
No,
you know, but I think, you know, when she married me, you know, I promised her several things. You know, one, there'd never be a dull moment, which there hasn't been.
Yeah, I'll say.
And that I'd always love her, and I always have. So,
Right.
I mean, really, I don't know. I'm sort of like, I like the all-American type, and my wife actually is like what I really like.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not too sure I wasn't like kind of looking for, you know, parts of my wife and other women type of thing.
How did you get away, though, with cheating and never getting caught? I never heard anything about you ever with another woman.
Right.
What do you do, the hotel room thing?
He had to tell on himself.
Yeah, and how do you get... You got so bored you told on yourself.
I know.
You're like, hey, honey, what's wrong with you? You don't know I'm cheating.
You with other women.
Nobody will catch me. I'm going to turn myself in.
Yeah. I mean,
One day she asked, so I mean,
Right.
Oh, she did? She just walked up and said, Vince, are you having sex with another woman? And you said, yes.
right.
Come here, I'm gonna have to knock you around.
Really? Wait a minute.
You never do that.
I understand you're not supposed to do that.
Right.
But did you tell her how many?
And then she asked this.
Oh, you gave her the list?
Oh, what are you going to do, you know?
You must be strong. Oh.
No wonder you started bulking up.
You are kidding me.
No, it's just the way it happened.
You got guts.
No, we've always been honest with each other. So
But wait a minute. The kids. Did the kids know?
Hell no. You don't tell your kids. Your kids will hate you.
But his kids are traveling with him and in the business with him.
Yeah, well, now they'll keep their mouth shut. They're going to inherit the whole motherload. Are you kidding me?
They know.
Well, they know everything about me.
Yeah. Now they know.
Again, I'm pretty open with everything.
Why didn't your wife shoot you or cut it off like Bob?
I don't know.
She's a good woman.
Did she get pretty angry? She must have gotten pretty angry.
She did, yes.
Do you have to go to marriage therapy after you admit something like that?
No.
You don't know where you're going to that.
Vince McMahon is not going to marriage therapy, okay?
You're not?
No.
See, I would have thought I would have gotten dragged in if I admitted to that. It's unbelievable.
So,
now the storyline in the WWF is that you are trying to divorce your wife.
Actually, I started to divorce my wife, and then I found a better way because, see, if you get divorced, then you lose sometimes half of everything you've earned. So,
but what's that mean to you? I mean, if you have $1 billion, so let's say you have a half a billion.
Yeah,
but my character is one that, $1 billion's not enough. I mean, it's got to be $2 billion or $50 billion or whatever. I mean, it's right. Avarice.
He then goes on to talk about Bob Costas, who is a sports reporter or journalist who interviewed Vince about the XFL, and Vince got super heated in this interview like he's done in many interviews before. This is one of many interviews that are the reason why he doesn't do them anymore.
Here now, Vince McMahon. Thanks for coming, Vince. Can you guarantee me right now that there will be a year 2 for the XFL?
What a ridiculous statement.
It's not a statement, it's a question.
It's a question. I beg your pardon. It's a question. No.
If this turns out to be a grand-scale failure...
You want to let me finish here for a second, pal? Shut your mouth and let me answer the question, all right? I'll be happy to answer. You got a situation that you don't know what you're talking about.
Vince, we've got to go.
Oh, it's too bad. This is such a delightful show, Bob. And thank you so much for having me on.
I appreciate your coming on.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a delight.
And there is more just ahead, my friends.
We've got a whole big special coming up. That's now, is that this Sunday?
No, WrestleMania is April 1.
Oh, April 1.
Right.
And Stone Cold Steve Austin will go against The Rock in WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And these things are huge. I mean, the pay-per-view is huge. There's nothing else on pay-per-view that actually makes money.
Those are the biggest things.
They are the biggest.
Wrestling.
They are.
The buy rate is like 3%, which is a lot of money.
Yeah, and he figured that out, too.
So when your critics say, oh, it's too violent and all this stuff, you're like, F you, man. Obviously, this is what people want.
And
right?
No question. But, I mean, the critics generally never watch us. They just...
Well, as Bob Costa says, are you right to give the people what they want?
And you are. Why not? Were you really angry with Bob Costas in that interview?
Disappointed, I think, more than angry. I mean, Costas at one time was a real fun-loving type of a guy. I mean, after all, sports is supposed to be fun.
Right.
Somewhere along the line.
It's entertainment.
Yeah, guys like Costas and other elitists just kind of like, well, we have this high moral ground. And
is Costas a pansy? Is that what you're trying to say?
Costas a pansy.
Yeah.
There's no question he's a pansy. I started asking him what color panties he was wearing, but, I was afraid he'd tell me.
Yeah, right. You don't want to know that.
No.
No, Jesus Christ. I mean, where is people's sense of humor?
I know. They take themselves so damn seriously.
Does anybody take it really seriously?
Yeah, they do. I mean, and after all, they're supposed to be writing about sports. Well, sports is not serious. I mean,
right.
Well, what they're probably jealous of is wrestling was always the thing you snickered about.
Yeah.
And now there are columns about it in the paper and the like. It's gotten some respectability.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And then following this, there's a load of questions coming in from callers and people in the studio. And they go over some pretty interesting topics here, like the lawsuits they were involved in, Hulk Hogan and his involvement in the steroid scandal. They talk about Bret Hart and the Montreal Screwjob and how he was going to WCW. They also talk about buying WCW and how Vince McMahon said he would absolutely do that. And sure enough, just literally a few days after this interview, it was announced that the WWE had purchased WCW.
What is it with your wrestling federation? As soon as you want to get rid of someone, they turn around, they sue you. What was the girl we had on here who said she wanted to sue Vince?
Whatever her name was.
Sable.
Right.
What did you do wrong? You want to change characters.
Right.
And then everyone turns around and sues you.
Right.
As if you owe them a job for life. This I don't understand.
Nor do I.
So what do you do? I mean, you've got probably a team of lawyers working endlessly, right?
Well, no, again, eventually, you have to stand your ground naturally.
Right.
And you just do that and just, wait it out and do what you have to do. But
see, that's the part that I would...
Are always running back back and forth from one organization to another. And it's very weird, you know. They want to stay in wrestling, but now they're going to go work for this guy, and then they're going to come back to you later on after they've sued you. Could you rehire them?
Michael, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Howard. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Listen, speaking about lawsuits, from what I heard from this Costas interview, I know Costas came close, but he didn't really ask Mr. McMahon about this case down here in Florida where the little boy was tried for killing the little girl, and the attorney raised the wrestling defense. You know, Mr. McMahon and his organization had sued the defense lawyer.
Good.
For defamation and so on and so forth.
Well, it's true. I mean, where are the parents? You've said this a million times. Where are the parents of this? I mean, you tell me a kid watches wrestling on TV. I knew a kid. I remember when I was a little kid, Superman was on TV, and someone tried to sue because their kid flew out the window because he saw Superman on TV.
Well, he didn't fly out the window.
Well, he did. He actually he couldn't fly. Yeah. Kid thought he was from Krypton. I remember it was a real sad case and everything. But the fact of the matter is, there are people who are just crazy.
And don't have any judgment at all.
So what are we going to do? End all entertainment in the hopes that the 1 in a billion person who can't handle it on TV is going to... what's going on with all that?
Yeah, they just threw out a case against natural-born killers because some people were claiming they got the inspiration for their crime spree from that movie.
Yeah. That's still a far cry from the WWF suing the defense lawyer.
No, they should.
Are you suing the defense lawyer?
These guys from using these defenses.
We may be. The defense lawyer came up with this hoax, type situation, claiming that the kid was emulating and only emulating wrestling maneuvers, and that's not the case. I mean, they didn't even have that defense for several weeks after, the incident. And the kid's mother, who works for the Highway Patrol in law enforcement, was allegedly asleep upstairs and listening to all of this going on. At one time, even opened the door and allegedly said, "What the hell is going on?" and was told that Tiffany was the young 6-year-old who died. Tiffany's raising hell. And she says, and the woman said, "Well, if in fact she doesn't stop it, I'm going to come down and beat her ass." Now, that's the mother saying that.
Right.
And it's all your fault that
it's all my fault somehow. And this kid's 170 pounds, and, what he did was obviously not emulating wrestling maneuvers.
Yeah.
It was a hoax. The whole defense was a hoax.
Yeah, they were looking, and they wanted to call, WWF members, people who are in the WWF as witnesses, like they'd have something to say about it.
Right. Okay, Ralph, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, Howard, how you doing?
Hey, man, what's up?
You're the funniest, man.
Thank you.
Listen, Vince, why don't you tell Howard how you screwed Bret Hart 2 years ago?
Sure.
A couple of years ago.
Okay, I'll be happy to.
Well, why did Vince screw her? Screw him.
Screw him.
He calls him the guy who died?
In WrestleMania, he embarrassed him right in front of his home crowd.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you want to say to this guy, Vince?
Well, it was a situation whereby Bret Hart, who was one of our great performers, we had a difference of opinion, and Bret was going to go work for Ted Turner's WCW.
Right.
And he wasn't going to do what we call in our business the honors going out.
Right. Which means, say goodbye?
Say goodbye the right way and lose the title and that sort of stuff. And so in any event, we had a difference of opinition there, and Bret didn't want to go out the way that he should, which is the time-honored tradition and also good business, by the way. And so, in essence, I just let him believe that he was going to have it his way and screwed him in the ring. Yep.
Why are you fighting your son in the ring? What's up with that? What's the storyline there?
The storyline there is, again, it's like Shane's taking up for my wife, who, by the way, was comatose, and, well, I mean,
these stories.
Right, yeah.
I mean, she's in a sanitarium. She had a nervous breakdown because I was having an affair with this gal, Trish.
Right.
So it's interesting soap opera.
End up down here. What's going on?
I just came down here.
Because you heard Vince was here?
Yes.
Are you huge wrestling fans?
Yes.
How old are you guys?
21.
19. You got jobs yet, or are you still in college?
You got jobs.
You got jobs. Neither of you guys have ever been late, I bet.
Oh, Tom. I live with my girl.
You got to be kidding me.
Nope.
And what is your question for Vince? I mean, you've been waiting out there all day.
What do you got to say?
What do you got to say to Vince?
So, you going to take over WCW?
That's the question?
Yeah,
that's the question.
That's a good question, WCW. What are you going to do? It's falling apart.
In all likelihood, yes.
Really?
Wow.
We'll see.
That's big.
Could you get Hogan before Monday? If that happens.
What are you saying? Hulk Hogan would then become your property again?
Well, no.
It depends if he's under contract or not.
I see. Are you still interested in him, or is he a has-been? He's yesterday's news, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's, he's still a tiger. I don't know how many teeth he has left, but he's still a tiger.
That was one of the things I was going to ask you. These guys never seem to want to retire.
Right.
Some of them don't.
I mean, Randy Savage.
Right.
Is Isn't he 100?
Has Hulk Hogan stayed around wrestling too long? I mean, you tried to get rid of him, and, you did. I mean, is it enough with him? Is that what you're saying?
Well, in terms of, day-to-day competitiveness and stuff like that, obviously he can't hang, with the young guys now. I mean,
right.
No one can at that age.
Right.
But...
what is his age?
I think he's about...
60?
No. I don't know. I guess 47.
Right.
That's when you're not able to hang.
See, this is where you're unfortunate in the position that you've got to be the guy to tell these guys, look, you're too old. You've been around too long.
Well, not that they still don't have personality, they still don't have some value.
Yeah, maybe
on an
they
ongoing
can become
basis.
managers of younger
Well,
guys.
that could easily happen. Spokesperson, that kind of a stuff, and and on occasion, do the old Babe Ruth stuff every now and then.
Do you not like this guy personally?
He's all right. We had some differences. We were really close at one time,
right?
And we had some differences during the steroid trial stuff,
right? He accused you of giving him steroids or something.
He really didn't accuse me. It's a thing whereby the government kind of put the finger on him, and
he had to say it his way.
No, I don't think anybody has to say anything. Especially when it comes to the government. I'm not real big on that,
right?
But and he disappointed me. He's not the stand-up guy that I would be for him in role reversal.
You would have stood up for him.
You would have gone down for him.
Careful how you say that.
But he doesn't go down for any man.
But, I would have done the right thing, I think, and again, he had a lot of pressure on his family and that sort of stuff and thought he may go to jail and for some reason.
So he turned on you.
Well, that's
he didn't exactly turn on me. He really walked that fine line where...
Did he lie about you?
He didn't tell the entire truth, but he wasn't really, even though he was a government witness, he didn't help them out all that much either. He really walked the line.
But it just burned you and said, hey, what kind of friend are you?
Nothing ultimately happened to you, though.
It disappointed.
Yeah, well, luckily nothing happened to him, but something could have.
And yeah, that's kind of the crux of that interview. After that, the rest of the interview and the footage I could find is just more redundant questions and just marks asking for jobs. That's all that's really going on for the rest of this interview here. And yeah, the Vince McMahon interview on the Howard Stern show in 2001 is kind of wild to look back on. Obviously, it's not aged very well and kind of aged quite poorly with the recent lawsuit and everything surrounding Vince McMahon right now. The way he talks about his relationship with Linda McMahon is absolutely just wild, and he's just so casual about it. And yeah, the Vince McMahon appearance on the Howard Stern show is just one of many appearances that wrestlers have made on the Stern show. If you want to know more about other wrestler appearances on the Stern show, then click on this video on screen or links down below. Nonetheless, that has been it from me on this one. So like the video if you did enjoy, comment down below what videos you want to see next from me. I'll see you all in the next one. Subscribe notifications on so you don't miss it. Goodbye and keep on rolling.